Welcome everybody to the Junior Gallery of Guitar competition. We are very excited. Kate Botello joins me again. How are you doing, Kate?
I am fantastic and so excited for today.
It's just exciting. I mean, we had 3 heats and then we had that, results show from our senior competition just last weekend, and now we're straight on into the juniors. And it's just fantastic. So this is players up to the age of 18 younger. And it's really incredibly exciting to see and hear these players, because often, they're just sort of getting started with their performance opportunities, with their careers. And there's just an energy and an excitement to what they're doing, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, and you said the level was really, really high in these players, so this is going to be extra cool to check out.
Well, yeah, you'll see and hear exactly what I'm talking about. I get a sneak peek at some of these videos as they come in, as I'm collating them and putting them together. Same with the seniors as well. And the level in both competitions this year has been really, really exciting and really great. And of course, the winner of this junior competition gets a fully funded place at the Classical Guitar Retreat this year, so and the chance to perform, so live performance opportunities as well. So we have got a fantastic jury assembled, and we're going to bring them in one by one and introduce you to them, so you know who's going to be listening to your performances. Our first juror that we'd like to welcome is the wonderful Chilean guitarist Roberto Versluys, who's been living in Scotland for many years after finishing his master's degree at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and he is a teacher at the Junior Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, so he sees junior guitarists all the time, so he's got a really finely attuned antennae for all the things that these young players are going through and doing. So let's welcome Roberto. Hello.
Hey, how are we doing?
We're great. We're very good. How are you today?
Excited because I think we're going to get to hear a lot of good talent today. So that's always good on my books.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks far too sunny there for Scotland, Roberto,
I know. It's been quite incredible until it was not, and now it's back to being okay again. So there you go.
normal service has resumed in the Scottish weather. And our second jury member this evening is the wonderful French guitarist Thomas Viloteau. Thomas has been a jury member before. You probably remember him from the senior competition last year. Excellent insights. And this year, Thomas is one of the invited artists performing a concert with Alexandra Viloteau as well. And of course, teaching and giving classes and workshops and things at the Classical Guitar Retreat. So who better a person to have on the panel this evening? Let's welcome Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, everyone. Hi, Matthew, Kate, Roberto. It's really great to do this again. I can't wait to listen to all those beautiful videos. I'm sure we're going to be blown away as usual. It's not a fun job having to rank everyone. It's difficult, but whatever happens, I'm sure everyone is very well deserving of playing here for us tonight. So I can't wait.
Great words. And you're right to mention that it is such a hard job, and it's also why we go to these lengths to present all of these young people and present their music making and their guitar playing and give them feedback right here in the moment. Sometimes at guitar competitions or youth music competitions, you can play great one time, get to the final and win, but you've no idea why it was any different to the time before where you didn't get anywhere and you didn't lose, because you don't get much feedback or it's difficult to get advice. So hopefully we can rectify some of that here by talking directly to these young people. And, yourself and Roberto being on the panel is fantastic. And we're also joined by someone who knows only too well what it is to win competitions. Last year in our senior competition, Eugen Treichel made the final and then he won first place. So Eugen returns this year as part of his prize to not only give a concert at the Classical Guitar Retreat, but also to do some teaching. So this is us giving opportunities back to the next generation of classical guitarists as they come through. And we've welcomed Eugen to the junior competition panel this evening so that he can have a listen and he can share some of his advice as a relatively new competition winner. So Eugen, welcome.
Hi everyone, super excited to be here, and I can't wait to hear all these amazing young players. How are you doing, everybody?
Great. Yeah, we're good. It's fantastic to have you with us, Eugen. And how long does it feel like? A year ago from when you were competing and then winning the prize? Does it feel like a long time ago? How's life been? Have you been very busy?
No, honestly, I still can't believe I won.
You shouldn't
yeah,
be
it's
shocked. For anybody who's seen you play, you should not be surprised.
thank
You
you,
were
Kate.
wonderful.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Very true, very
Yeah.
true. I mean, all of these performances are still available to people for them to go back and view, so people can actually return and have a look at your heat round, and then of course watch you perform in the live stream from the final in St Andrews. And that's, you know, that's what people here tonight are aspiring to as well. Maybe they're at a younger age than you were when you competed in the senior final, but you'll know some of the things that they were going through, recording the videos, choosing the repertoire, and then getting ready to play. So your advice this evening is going to be fantastic as well. Now, we're just going to get cracking and get straight into it. So I'm going to hand over to Kate to tell us a little bit about our first performer of the evening, and then we'll get the ball rolling.
Okay, let's meet our first contestant. We'll be meeting Andrei Orasanu, who is from Stamford, Connecticut, and he's chosen to play the first and third movements from the Bach Concerto BWV 972 and the Primavera Porteña by Astor Piazzolla. He says he picked these pieces because he's experienced music from both of these composers from a very young age, and when his teacher recommended that he learn them, he was glad to do so. He's since greatly enjoyed playing them. He says the technical difficulty of these pieces also makes them well suited for competitions. As to the guitar that he's playing, his dad owns several, and this is his dad's guitar. He said at first it was difficult to play, but as his technique evolved, he was able to play it, and he thinks it's the best sounding of all of his dad's guitars. He loves the clarity, the traditional tone. It was built by Richard Reynosa in 2008. It is a traditional fan-braced spruce guitar in the style of Hermann Hauser. And he said his father bought the guitar that he plays the very year that he was born. He and the guitar are the same age. And for the fun question, we asked everybody what they like in their pizza. And Andrei likes sausage, meatball, and pepperoni. Excellent work, Andrei. Wonderful. Well, it is time now for commentary. Let's start with Thomas Viloteau. What have you got for our young guitarists?
Bravo. Wow, what a beautiful play, a beautiful performance of both those pieces. I thought the Bach was great. It's it's a very difficult piece to play on the guitar. This arrangement, it doesn't fit the instrument well at all, but it was very well played in the sense that you just heard the music flow, and it's one of those difficult things to play. Bach in particular, but Baroque music in general on the guitar, to just have the natural flow of the music. I think you really just have to be immersed in it, to listen to it constantly. It sounds to me like Andrei really knows the music, so that he was just, delivering it in a natural way, which is great. I thought it was beautiful. And then the Piazzolla was also very, very nice. It was very groovy. The pulse was always there, super tight. Which I think is the most important thing here. And even in the section that was more lyrical, the pulse was still there, which is important. It was rubato, but not all over the place, So I think Andrei has a great ear for music and great sensitivity. So that's quite clear to me, anyways, listening to this. So bravo, great performance.
Merci, Thomas.
A great comments there from Thomas. I think actually you hit the nail on the head with the great feel for music that Andrei has, because he starts with a concerto, and I was thinking, oh, the tempos can be really difficult when you're trying to negotiate all of that music onto the one guitar. But after 30 seconds, I was just listening to the piece rather than thinking of the original concerto form. So I think you've picked up so much there. Now we're going to keep things moving tonight rather than going around every single jury member in the junior competition for their feedback. Everybody will get some feedback from each of the jury members on their performance, written feedback that we'll share after the competition. But just tonight in the live stream, we're going to go around and spotlight different judges for different players, just because we have more competitors and we don't do heats, and just to keep things moving. So we're about to head to our second competitor of this evening, and that's Braydon Kim. And Braydon Kim is from New York City. And Braydon has chosen to play the first movement of Suite Montebello by Julio Cesar Oliva and Beit Kocha by Marco Pereira. He likes the contrast in these pieces and the energy, and it makes these some of the favorite pieces that he plays. His father played guitar when he was a child, so he took up the hobby from him. So that's actually quite similar to Andrei as well, which is nice. An interesting fact is he's a twin. So what about some duets next time? And then this is a controversial one for me. I don't know this, but he likes ziti on his pizza. So he'll have to let us know what that is. Wow. Great fun, right? Great fun. Look at the applause coming in from the jury there.
Delightful.
What fun.
Before we get into the music, a quick note. Ziti is pasta. It's like a long tube pasta with ridges in it, and it's very good at absorbing sauce. So I can see why it would work on a pizza, although I haven't tried it myself. That's all I have to
It's
say.
a carbohydrate fiasco, you know? I mean, surely it's just carbs on carbs, no?
You know, he's young. He can eat a lot of carbs.
And you eat it with bread on the side. Make sure.
just to make sure, you know, just to make
Yeah,
doubly, triply sure. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Trouble.
Well, yeah, triple trouble.
Triple trouble.
Well, I think we can take the French culinary tips from Thomas for sure. Like,
Yes.
you know, you can hold court there. Great things coming in from the chat about Braydon's performance, but I'd love to go to Eugen and get your first thoughts there on hearing Braydon's performance. Eugen, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. I'm totally blown away by Braydon's musical playing, and yeah, congrats on it's always difficult to play super expressive, but at the same time be on top of everything, like stay in control. And Braydon did it so well. I really enjoyed those singing melodies in the Montebello suite, and yeah, sure, the Bate Kosher was super joyful to listen to. Again, congratulations, Braydon, and I'm definitely going to try this super special pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comments about this idea of being able to keep expressing yourself, keep going for things, but not come off the rails, not lose some of that accuracy. I think that's a problem that a lot of people deal with when they're first starting to try their hand at maybe big dynamics or big rubato and try to really say something expressive. Can easily come undone. And Eugen's right on the money. Braydon just, cool, super cool there. So Kate, our third player.
All right, let's meet our next player. This will be Bronte Gonzalez, and she's from Portree, Isle of Skye. She'll be playing Memories of Summer by Gary Ryan and The Country Etude by Tatiana Stachak. She chose to play them because they're the pieces she's been working on recently, and she's doing them for her grade exam. Good practical reason. Her guitar, her parents bought that for her when she started playing music at about the age of 5, and she just grew into it eventually. And we asked Bronte for a fun fact. I love the way that she put this. She says, people always ask me if me and my sister, who's 2 years younger, are twins. She says, I find this very annoying because it makes me feel short. Just because we're practically the same height and both have brown eyes does not mean we're twins. Okay? So our last competitor, a twin. This one, not a twin. And then a note on the pizza. She likes tomato, mozzarella, olives, onion, red pepper, basil for decor, and fried courgette, that would be zucchini for the Americans, and beetroot. She's a vegetarian. There you go.
I'm going to be playing 2 pieces for you today. My first piece is called Memories of Summer, and it was written by Gary Ryan. My next piece is called Conscientiud, and it was written by Tatiana Stashak.
Bravo, bravo. Now, Kate, I
Wonderful.
believe, there you
I have
are.
unmuted. There we go. Let's go to Roberto for commentary here on Bronte's performance.
Well, so first of all, I thought that was really lovely, wasn't it? It was such a beautiful and sensitive performance. When I first heard Memories of Summer, my first thought was like, that's a really good tone. It's very clear, very easy to understand what she's trying to say. I love the rubato as well. There was a sensation of rubato in this piece. There's a bit of a sense of like dreaminess into this piece, isn't it? It's like the idea of memory is used maybe like you're trying to remember something, but not being quite accurate of how it goes. So whenever something shows up, it shows up slightly different. And I think Bronte did a great job getting to that. I think there's even space to be a tiny bit more out there and even find a slightly more differentiation of each time it shows around. I really enjoyed it, however, and I think like the rhythmical strictness of it was quite good. Yeah, especially there's a couple of sections there that the bars are a bit irregular or slightly different. So if you manage to be quite strict with that, you can get this idea of the sense that things are the same but not quite. And on the second one, Country Etude, I absolutely love it. It's such a beautiful piece by Tatiana, who's a fab educator, isn't she? She's written a couple of really big books and just this collection of pieces that are just incredible. And Bronte, you played it so well, so beautifully. I love the beginning with those nice glissandos. I love that the slurs were technically, they all sounded very clearly and they were all very rhythmical as well. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but you could hear them and they were for the most part very rhythmical as well. I think as well, finally, the rubato can maybe just be a tiny bit more organic, like do it a bit more gradually to help us carry us into the next section of the piece, because I love the rubato and how you were doing it. Just, I think a bit more gradual can help us understand a bit more where you're moving the music towards.
Great comments, Roberto. Great comments. Really, really helpful stuff. Just wanting to see a little bit more as well. Maybe because we've got, you know, so much kind of solid groundwork done there. The sound is good, rhythmically, sort of getting the pieces really together, just going that next stage and expressing out. Well, Bronte, good luck with your grade. You know, that's the next thing. I hope that, I'm sure you'll smash it after that performance. You'll absolutely smash it. So on to our next player. Our next player is Callum Young, and he is from Edinburgh in Scotland. So from the Isle of Skye to Edinburgh. Very nice. The first piece Cam's going to play is Prelude number 1, Villa-Lobos. How can you get that one wrong, Matthew? By, of course, our erstwhile Villa-Lobos. Callum loves the cello-inspired melody of the minor section and how it contrasts with the liveliness of the major section in the middle. The second piece is Verano Porteño by Astor Piazzolla, and this piece, according to Callum, is a true exhibition of the tango spirit. It is indeed, and we're looking forward to it. Callum bought his guitar in the London Guitar Studio, and his dream would be to become a luthier. So not only to play the guitar, but also to make it. That's a very cool dream. I think every guitarist deep down wants to build their own guitar. And for his pizza, absolutely a man after my own heart. Absolutely got it sorted. Pepperoni and extra cheese. Classic.
Bravo.
Chévere, chévere.
Bravo. Villa-Lobos and Piazzolla. Monsieur Viloteau, what are your thoughts?
Oui. Yeah, very nice playing. It's great music to hear. Obviously, this is, pinnacles of guitar repertoire, and for good reason, because it's just, amazing music. I think, Kate, you mentioned something that he wanted to get the tone of the cello in the comments, and I think he did that extremely well, actually. There's a great version of this, right, Matthew, by Villa-Lobos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think we tend to play it quite fast, this piece. And Villa-Lobos, he played it pretty slowly, I think. Not rhythmic at all. Even the middle part, right? Not so energetic, maybe, a bit more saudade, this kind of like spirit of just very well sung, but really kind of inwards a little bit. I thought Callum was a very, very nice performance there, but it was a little bit overly energetic. What's the truth of the piece? We don't know.
But it's interesting. We've discussed this before.
Yes,
when you were coming back to the repertoire of Villa-Lobos after playing it as a student, many moons ago, and coming back to it, and we were talking about, YouTube's amazing. You can go on and you can hear Barrios play Barrios, Rachmaninoff, Ravel. You can hear them play their own music. Yeah, okay. Only in our mind. But like, it is really interesting. Over time, we've kind of accepted an interpretive style because of the sort of general mass of interpretations that are out there. Sometimes they can be not the intention of the composer. They can just be something that's happened by sort of an osmosis.
Yeah. And that's not bad. I mean, who's to say? I mean, Callum's version is just as relevant as Villa-Lobos' I would say. So the truth of the piece is somewhere there. It's both. And so yeah. And then the next piece was also very nice. I thought here the energy definitely paid off. Because that was also very groovy. That was great.
There was a nice balance, wasn't there? I felt like when we hit the Piazzolla, although it's a well-known piece, the things that Callum was doing to set up the Rasguiado, to set up the descending chord, he kind of had an idea of like, this is what's coming next, planning it out. And that's good to hear, that sort of structure in a piece that once you get on that groove at the beginning, you could just kind of get lost, you can just kind of get taken off. So that was nice to hear. Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Well done, Callum. Well done. So, Kate, who's up next?
Okay, up next, we will be meeting Ceylin Safmaz from Turkey, and she has chosen to perform Bach's BWV 998, the Allegro, and some music from Napoleon Coste, Les Soirées d'Auteuil. Bach's piece shows the structured, energetic, and architectural side of the guitar, while the Coste brings out the lyrical and romantic voice. Together, they highlight the different sides of what the guitar can express. She's been playing her current guitar. It's a traditional model handmade by a Turkish luthier for just 1 year. She says that the neck is much thinner than most traditional guitars, which makes it perfect for her hands, as her fingers are shorter than average, and it just felt like the right match just from the beginning. For a fun fact, she always adds drawings and colors to her sheet music. However, sometimes that makes reading the notes a bit of a challenge. And as to pizza, mushrooms, and lots of cheese. Brava, Ceylin. Wonderful. Lots of comments on her lyricism and her use of dynamics there. Eugen, what do you have to say about this performance?
Well, I think it was amazing. It was super precise and lots of clarity, especially in the Bach. You could really follow each note where it goes, and I love to hear Bach played that way. Also, the Costa was super amazing, and it was a sensitive interpretation, but at the same time very, very passionate. And one thing I would like her to improve upon is like this comes from me as a competition player myself, and when the piece ends and it's the time between the pieces where you can really take a moment to catch your breath and just take your time tuning the guitar, and then resharpen your focus, take a breath, and then move on. So just a bit more time between the pieces, but everything else was really amazing.
So that tuning time is what you can really use to focus and collect yourself between pieces in competition?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Very important comment there, actually, because I think we can forget, a little bit. Sometimes if we're in our own world when we play, and Ceylin had this kind of, I was kind of captivated by it. She was just so focused on what she was doing. Even when she looked up at the end, it was almost in surprise that the camera was kind of still there. And, your camera in this case is your audience, and it's a window out into the world where you're sharing your own expression and your musicality. So being aware of it as a third party in this, it's actually part of the performance. That's really, really important to consider. But a very beautiful performance and some really lovely clarity there in the Bach as well at the beginning. It was fantastic. So we're going to have a little introduction to our next competitor. It's Ezra Lausche, and Ezra is from Oregon in the United States of America. Beautiful state. The pieces that Ezra's chosen to play is the Europa by Jose Luis Merlin from his suite Del Recuerdo, and Julia Florida by Agustin Barrios Mangare, and then the third of the Bagatelles by William Walton, the Alla Cubana. So 3 very contrasting pieces there. Ezra says he loves the unique feels and sensitivity of these pieces, which are influenced by South American music. He plays a 1973 custom-built Sakazo Nakade guitar. Sakazo Nakade is known as one of the fathers of modern-day luthiers in Japan, and Ezra feels very grateful to be able to perform on this beautiful piece of history. His fun fact, he also plays drums in a jazz and rock band. So he's in a couple of bands there, and his rock band won his music school's Battle of the Bands last year. That's the coolest thing you can do at school. On his pizza, he likes sausage, mushroom, and olives. So there's solid choices as well.
Go ahead, Ezra. Some fascinating repertoire. The chat just blowing up with the expressiveness in his performance. Roberto, let's go to you. What do you think?
Ooh, what to say? What a lovely performance. What an amazing performance to say, isn't it? I would say in general, the Joropo, first of all, like such a good choice of repertoire. Can I just say that? It's just like such a lovely, it also has like a theme tying them all together. Not only South American, but Walton, yes, of course, he's not South American, but that music is clearly inspired by, let's say, South American with the influence of like Spanish music. I think that's even maybe a tiny bit more accurate, which is great. I love the Joropo. It had such an amazing like groove to it, and I think in general it had so many like energetic moments, didn't it? I think there were a few moments where just a bit of the slurs could have been a tiny bit more tidy, a tiny bit more kind of like rhythmical, just because everything else was just so impeccable. But yeah, it just really captivated me, which I think it's super important for this kind of events, isn't it? In Julia Florida, I realized something that maybe I'm just going to say like the whole performance was really convincing. I just think careful with at times playing too much Ponticello. I don't know if you agree or not. At times like the sound could be a tiny bit harsh, even though you had so much expressiveness there. So if you move a tiny bit more towards the sound hole and then from there move towards where you want to get a bit more color, I think there's space to bring even more expressiveness into your playing.
For those of us who aren't as technical in guitar, Ponticello, can you define that for us, please?
Yeah, I loved, there was a comment that I loved. There was, it said, playing on the dusty part of the guitar.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense, like
Yes,
where the bridge is. Where the bridge is, like right towards there, we'd call that Ponticello, and that's where, yeah, if you don't clean the guitar, that's where the dusty grooves get in. That's all.
That's the best explanation of that I think you could possibly come up with. So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and finally, just what a joy that Walton was as well. Really enjoyable to listen, and again, impeccable on the sense of pulse.
Yeah. It was interesting to hear how free in a way at points Ezra was getting with that bagatelle, and it's such a nice thing to see, sort of just kind of unchecked like expression and rubato. Like, I'm just doing it because I think it's good and I like it and I'm just going to do it. And I love that because it's kind of not been through a committee. Do you know what I mean? To be sort of ratified and verified and checked, and that's okay. Yes, you can do that. There was just something really honest and sincere about where he wanted to go with the music, and he just took it, and it was great. And if you have that when you're so young, I don't think that's going to leave you. So just like Roberto said with the slurs and picking up on a few of the technical things, you get those fixed, and that nice sort of charming and quite sort of like minstrel-like sense of musicality. I think that'll be really a really potent combination for Ezra. It's really good. Now, this is a chance for me to give my jury a little breather, a little break. They can go off and get a glass of water or something like that. And it just gives me a couple of minutes to just talk to you about the Gallery of Guitar competitions, the prizes, the sponsors, and of course the Classical Guitar Retreat, which is the big festival in Scotland that takes place in the summer. Now the Gallery of Guitar competitions, they're in their second year, and last weekend we had our second round of heats for the senior competition, and we now know who our finalists are, our 5 finalists. They'll be coming to St Andrews in Scotland in July this summer, and all competing in what is a grand final, a fantastic concert celebrating them and their performing. Now, if you haven't listened to those heats and heard those players, you should go back on Gallery of Guitar and take a listen, because if you're coming to the Classical Guitar Retreat this summer, you're in store for a fantastic concert. The Classical Guitar Retreat is an annual festival, and it's a complete immersion in the world of classical guitar. There's technique classes, workshops, master classes, lots of individual lessons for each participant. You almost meet practically every member of a very international faculty and get one-to-one tuition and advice. There's ensemble classes, group classes, loads of opportunities to perform, open stages, sharing concerts at the end, and then of course professional concerts by our faculty members that take place every single day. So if you're not doing anything in July this summer, get in touch with me and come and check out the Classical Guitar Retreat, because not only will you see the continuation of this competition, you'll also just learn a huge amount about the classical guitar, which you can take forward into your own playing after. And one of the prizes for the junior players here, the first prize is obviously an invitation, a fully funded place at the retreat, which for a young player like the ones you're hearing this evening, it's just a fantastic opportunity to meet lots of like-minded people, to connect with lots of teachers from all over the world and get a huge amount of inspiration and advice at an extremely important time in your development. And we're also extending an opportunity to the winner of this junior competition to open the Saturday night concert at the retreat. So they'll get the chance to actually perform for all of the audience there. The hall is absolutely stunning, the McPherson recital room at the Laidlaw Music Centre at the University of St Andrews. It's almost like a custom built hall for guitar. We can change the acoustic, we can change the layout of the room. We have a great amount of fun there for the week, turning it into a little guitar venue. So that is going to be a wonderful opportunity for our winner of this competition to actually get on stage and open for the Saturday night concert. Other sponsors that we have for the Gallery of Guitar competitions, we have a great sponsorship from Augustine Strings. Now, many of you will know Augustine Strings. Many of you might know the old packets, which always had that picture of Segovia on the back. It was great, synonymous with Segovia and the Augustine Strings. Now the strings have kind of really modernized, fantastic packaging and turning into a really, really interesting brand. Not only are the strings absolutely top quality, also Augustine's its support of guitarists, its support of the industry, and its support of just the life of the classical guitarist is really important. So if you have a chance, check out Augustine on YouTube, check out Augustine on their website, look at all the varieties of strings they have. Our winners are going to get a lot of strings to try and a lot of strings to just sort of get used to and try different things, carbon strings, nylon strings, all sorts of different types of permutation of string type. And then we've got Alba Guitar Beads, which is a Scottish-based company which specialises in sort of fixing all our weird and wonderful problems that us guitarists have. So it's accessories and providing solutions for guitarists. So it can be guitar supports, it can be things like their patented guitar beads, which help you tie the string to that bridge, what Roberto was just talking about, where you get that Ponticello sound, that dusty side of the guitar. And Alba Guitar Beads come up with all sorts of stuff. They also produce fantastic cases, great carbon fiber cases for keeping your guitar safe, and all sorts of stuff. And they'll be present at the retreat in July, and they'll also be providing a lot of support to the finalists on this competition, the top 3 places. So we've got Augustine Strings, we've got Alba Guitar Beads, we've got performances, and coming to the Classical Guitar Retreat in July. Great prizes. Also, a little bit of financial support as well, some cash money, some prizes, which are really, really important. Money always helps young players, whether it's buying accessories, buying strings, buying music, connecting with teachers, all sorts of things. It's been great to see so many people here in the chat supporting the guitarists as well. Your comments actually really, really do stay with the performers. We've got, I think, another 4 or 5 performers to hear. and some brilliant music making to enjoy. And I'm sure you'll all agree out there that this has already been an incredibly high standard for just the second year of running this junior competition. Now, my co-host Kate Botello has returned. Here she is. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Excellent. And look at that, our jury are assembled as well. Just by magic, just by magic. I thought you would need much longer, but there we are. The professionalism on show is just marvellous. So, Kate, are you ready to introduce our next player and get our competition back underway?
I am, in fact, yes. Up next, we'll be meeting Johan Thor from Denmark, and he's going to be performing Fancy by John Dowland and the Tarantella by Castelnuovo Tedesco. He said he wanted to make a varied program. That's why he chose two pieces of very different character, style, and time. He has a great love for early music. Dowland, he says, is a fantastic and interesting composer, and he's also fascinated by it being the world's first tremolo piece. He's very excited about Tedesco and Segovia. He likes the temperament and the Italian style of the music, and the piece has many characters and colors, which he enjoys and hopes that we do as well. He's going to be playing a Jose Marquez double top spruce guitar built in 2023. And on his pizza, he likes Serrano and Parmesan cheese. bravo. We said, just because it's a junior competition, don't expect small shakes playing, and the level has just been high throughout. I think another high-level performance. Let's go to Thomas. Thomas, what do you
Yes.
think about this for
Wow,
Johan?
bravo. Johan, great playing. Honestly, the Dowland was fantastic. I rarely hear Dowland played like this on the guitar. Um, it's very difficult, I think, for the modern guitar. And you said it was a double top, so it's a very modern, right, sounding instrument, but it sounded very close to the lute, and you really have to change your technique quite a bit to get this on the guitar. You really have to play kind of like very close to the sound hole, a bit where the strings are looser, to get kind of close to that lute feeling. And I think Johan probably played the lute or listens to the lute a lot. It seems obvious to me. It was really great. And Dowland, he traveled a lot and he went to Italy, spent a good amount of time there. And I think that ending there, shows really that he picked up some of the fire in Italian music, and it's quite challenging to play. So at the end, I think Johan was just really not backing off at all. He was totally going for it, and it really worked. And technically was just flawless. He was pushing out all those like weird, strange notes, that just like seem out of place, but they really are if you hide them because you're not too sure. But if you really push them out, they are very expressive. And he did this in the Tedesco as well. Really fantastic playing by Johan. Bravo.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree. It was really something. I love this idea that this comment you made about him not backing off right to the end, because it's easy to sort of just hedge your bets, just okay,
right.
A bit like we mentioned. I can't remember who mentioned it earlier on. Maybe it was yourself, Thomas, or Eugen or Roberto, but it was talking about not losing control. I think it was yourself, Eugen, right at the beginning of the competition. You talked about being expressive but not wanting to lose control, and it's a fine balance. And there we've just seen Johan nailing that, really been able to commit, which is fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so our next competitor is Nieuw Medma from the Netherlands, living in the city of Groningen. And the pieces that have been chosen to be performed here are Johann Caspar Merz from the Baardenklange. It's the Capriccio. And then it's Armand Cook's Valse Lent number 1, and then the second Valse Lent. So 2 little waltzes there by Armand Cook. And then finishing with the Augustin Barrios Mangare famous number 4, the waltz. So there's quite a lot of waltzes in here. We're sort of waltzing with Belgian music and then Paraguayan music, and starting off with the Johann Caspar Merz. So these pieces were chosen because they're all really different. The Capriccio is fast and strong in the beginning, and then the 2 Valse Lents, which are slow, have a really beautiful melody. The Valse from Barrios, Nieuw's been playing that for a long time. It has some soft parts, but also some really fast and loud moments. And he feels they're really beautiful pieces and just fit perfectly in the program. He bought his guitar in the Groningen Guitar Festival. At the festival, there's a guitar expo where you can try out all sorts of classical guitars. I love a guitar expo. And at some point, a really nice man who also joined the festival said to me that there was one really beautiful guitar from Hans van Helsen. I tried the guitar and he recommended, and it fell in love immediately. The next day I bought it and I'm still really happy with the guitar every day. That is lovely. That guitar maker, Hans, has actually visited Scotland before and visited the guitar retreat with a beautiful guitar that he made to show at our guitar exhibition. So we know your guitar well. Fun fact, he makes vlogs with his little brother. He's almost 9 years old, edit them and share the vlogs with their family. So a bit of a budding videographer, fantastic. Pizza-wise, sometimes salami or just a good old plain margarita. Bravo, yeah, bravo,
Wow.
gorgeous. Nice things coming in the comments there. I think those waltzes really took the audience by surprise, hearing those in competition repertoire. Really interesting. People, you're just such expressive playing. Really nice, really nice. Eugen, I'd love to come to you and get your feedback and your advice there for Nieuwe. What were your impressions of his playing?
Well done, Lua. Amazing playing, and I really love the tone of the guitar, and of course the tone that is is always in the hands, as we say. I really liked the choice of tone colors, and also congratulations on the good taste in music. Really, it's always great to hear stuff composed by Armand Cook, who's written so many good pieces for the guitar.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I once heard an English guitarist, Simon Dingham, playing Constellations. It's the first time I'd heard it, and it's become really a kind of standard piece in the repertoire now. So it's great to hear Armand's music played. That's a very good point. And it was interesting, Eugen, hearing about Louis talking about how he got his guitar. Being at a festival, seeing a guitar expo, meeting a luthier. Last year at the Classical Guitar Retreat, when you won the competition, you received a guitar by the Scottish luthier Mark Burnett, and it was a great moment actually having Mark there to hand you this handcrafted artisan guitar that he built you. How's the guitar working out? It's been about a year. How are you enjoying it? Tell us about your journey with it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic instrument that Mark has built there. It has a great tone. It's really easy to play, which is super important to me. And you can get those super clear notes at the dusty part of the guitar, but also some so much warmth from that raw wood that he incorporated in the instrument. So I've been enjoying it a lot so far. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm sure you'll meet Mark again this summer. It's great because it's nice to spotlight not just all the players, but the luthiers as well. It's all part of the same ecosystem. We need guitars to play, and luthiers, provide us with beautiful instruments that we can play. And we've heard so many different types of contrasting instruments already this evening. So, Kate, on to our next player.
Okay, let's now meet Peregrine Sung. Peregrine was born and raised in Scotland. He lives in Rosyth. His mother is Thai and father is Chinese. He's going to be playing Daolan. We're going to be hearing a little more. The Fantasy number 7, the first Renaissance piece that he's played. The piece is written for lute, but there are many transcriptions for the guitar. He thought it was very pleasant and very nice. Didn't expect it to be anything great given the time period, but then as he practiced it, it really grew on him, and he listened to the different voices interacting. It starts small and then comes together to create something really special with a triumphant ending that pleasantly surprised him. He's learning this. He says, learning this piece has made me appreciate Renaissance music and make me think lutes are quite cool. And the next piece, Tristango en Voz, that's the third prelude in Máximo Diego Pujol's Cinco Preludios. That means sad tango within. Máximo Diego Pujol is an Argentine composer. He says it was very fun to learn this piece because of the contrasts within it. The piece is not performed that often, so he felt free to make his own decisions on how to play it. He was instantly drawn to it. It starts with a beautiful melodic section, but is often disturbed by dark undertones, contrasted with fiery mid and end section. He says, most Argentine tango music is associated with Piazzolla. Learning an Argentine tango piece by a living composer was interesting, and he enjoyed exploring a less-known piece. A fun fact, he says, he's talking about his guitar here. He was given, when he moved to school 2 years ago, the Singing Dragon guitar to use during his time there, and it was donated by the Mexican guitarist Morgan Szymanski. He said he has supported him in many ways. And his years in high school are coming to an end. He's very sad to part ways with this guitar. It will be a much missed companion, and he trusts that the next person to use it will love and care for it as much as he has. For a fun fact, he has watched Snake in the Eagle's Shadow over 100 times. And as for pizza, likes pizza with thick bread part and a meaty top.
Cool.
Peregrine, Just a huge contrast between these two pieces, and yet you can kind of see how they dovetail a little bit. Roberto, what are your comments on this performance from Peregrine?
Right. So again, very enjoyable performance overall. I'm glad you enjoyed Dowland because it seems to suit you really well. That was my first thought. I love that piece. It's such a beautiful one. And I think one of the things that you did incredibly well was that you played with a very lyrical sense, with a really great sense of legato. Yeah. Within that, I would say there's even more space to be a bit more, to do a bit more phrasing. Yeah, to help us guide us a bit through the music a bit more clearly, to tell us, okay, here we go. This is going to be our next step. But within that, I think you did a fantastic job, and it's a piece that has so many different characters within itself, and I could hear them all. I could hear them all very clearly. You could even bring them out a tiny bit more, and think a tiny bit more about the tempo itself. Yeah, but I really thoroughly enjoyable for sure. There were a technical comment there when there's a lot of like thumb repeat. I think it's a good question always to consider whether we move the hand or whether we move the finger, or at times it just is a combination, a bit of both, especially when it's quite fast. And I would just consider that a tiny bit, because it felt like it made it difficult to play the notes on top of it, the voices on top of that. Moving forward, I love the Tristango and Voz. Maximo Diego Pujol has some quite out there ideas at times in terms of like harmony and musically, and I really enjoy his pieces. Like, he's such an interesting composer for sure. And what I loved is you brought a lot of things into the table here. You brought a lot of color, you a lot of expressivity, a lot of dynamics. Particular attention might be needed to add into those kind of like harmonically strange sections in order to help us understand them. And I think that's a difficult task that at times Pujol does. He leaves that up to the performer to kind of like figure out. And I love them, but I think like they can even be a bit clearer for us as an audience.
Thank you.
Sorry. One final quick thing. This is something very difficult, but at times the breathing can be something difficult to start being aware of. I don't know if that's something fair enough to say, but I love the performance. At times I was so absorbed in the ambience, and I got a tiny bit distracted by the breathing, which ended up being slightly louder than the guitar. So just something to consider and to maybe try and get a bit under control, because it will definitely help you bring out the musicality even more.
Yeah, very good points. Very good points. Yeah, it's interesting, especially when you have a player like Peregrine who's bringing you in, like, he's bringing you into what he's doing. He wasn't naturally extrovert at all at the start. The Dowland is a real piece that sort of coaxes the listener towards the player. So yeah, taking care of all those things is really useful. I loved your point about the thumb and not moving the whole arm, and because the stability can get sort of a little bit compromised. Very, very good advice there for Peregrine. I'm sure he's going to sort of take it on, and there's lots of good stuff coming in the chat as well. Kate's having a look at the chat. I'm having a look at the chat, and it's been sort of flowing all night. We've got 2 players left, folks, so make sure you're sharing your love and your support for these young players. You've no idea where you're going to hear some of these these young players in the future. They're probably going to be having some fantastic careers, and you probably might have heard them first. Hopefully we've introduced you to some great talent tonight, and that's going to continue right now as we move to our second last player of the evening. It's Preston Hong, and Preston is from Los Altos in California, United States of America. And Preston has chosen to play the prelude from Bach's Lute Suite number 3, BWV 995, and then 2 movements from the Homage to Villa-Lobos. Now, the Homage to Villa-Lobos, he doesn't mention who it's by, but I think it's by Roland Diens. I think we'll probably hear that when we get going. Glenn Kane made his guitar. No, Glenn Cannon, made his guitar. His guitar teacher, this is Preston's guitar teacher for Christopher Mallet. Big shout out to you. He uses the guitar and introduced Preston to this maker. He likes to play volleyball. There's a little fact. Now, volleyball and classical guitar nails cannot go particularly well together there, Preston. So be very careful, breaking any nails with these volleyballs. And he just wants a normal cheese pizza. He doesn't want any other toppings. Fair enough. Woo!
Gymnastics, absolute gymnastics happening there. Actually, you know what, Eugen, I've seen you play some gymnastics on the guitar. Why don't you talk about what we just heard from Preston?
Well, that one was a treat, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
It was so fun to listen to Preston. And well, I am German, so I will have to talk a bit more about the Bach. Should I?
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
Well, this is actually the Bach movement I also played in the competition, and I'm really impressed about the way Preston played it for us today. And yeah, the prelude was just um, a nice entrance into the performance. It's always difficult to find the right balance between singing and dancing in the prelude, like in the first super calm part. And I think Preston did really well. I also enjoyed the the cross string thrills. I know there's lots of discussion about if you're allowed to use them or not. I do them all the time, and I think they're just fun to execute, aren't they? And just a little tip here would be like to put a little decrescendo at the end of the trill, because it's like the nature of a trill if you do it on one string, and we should try to emulate that when we do it like the campanella style. Yeah, there's not much to say about the Treweed. Fantastic, um, great precision, and also a good choice of articulation. Really enjoyed listening to that. And the Giants, the Giants was like, what is there to say about it? I just sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed it. Thanks, Preston.
Yeah. It's great to hear that, and it's what I was suggesting earlier on, just like these young players are really knowing when to go for it, and not hold back, which is really great to see. And we've got our own, Roberto and Eugen and Tom are putting their scores in and putting the feedback in, and I've got a view of that as it comes in. And we had a fantastic comment as Preston was getting right in amongst the DNs there, and I think it was Roberto, and Roberto said, please stop him please stop him from playing volleyball unless he's like Michael Jordan equivalent or something like that.
And maybe even then.
Yeah,
exactly. Pick one thing to be the Michael Jordan of, and maybe lean toward the guitar.
We can go for that. Yeah, exactly. Yep, great to hear, and some great repertoire. Now we have come to our final performer of the night. Kate, are you ready to take us away and introduce our final player?
I am indeed. I'm ready to introduce you to Shaw Sexton, hailing from DC. I believe that is Washington, DC, here in the United States. Playing Domp, the Stream, and the Gigue from the Cello Suite 1007, and the Prelude from that Cello Suite. Chosen, this is honest, because it's what I could have ready in time, and they're very fun to play. And this, where did Shaw get his guitar? He says, my grandpa sold one of his paintings and gave me the money to buy a new guitar, and he found it in a little guitar store in DC. He's lived all over the world, in China, Brazil, America, and South Africa. And as to pizza, Matthew McAllister, a man after your own heart, pepperoni. Lovely way to round out this competition. My goodness, we have heard so much good music today. We have seen so many wonderful performances. This has been such a treat. It's really, yeah.
It would be nice to get some thoughts there for sure with that lovely Bach. You know, it was really lighting up the chat. People were really loving hearing his tempo and his warmth of playing. There was also comments on how dapper, that's a good word for them, dapper he looked. He was dressed very, very well. Maybe we could go to Thomas for some thoughts for Shaw, some feedback on his performance.
Yes, I thought that was very nice. It was very solid. It was in control. I thought it was very yes, solid and in control. So that's always that's always a very good thing. And I was hearing a lot of voices out there.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult, you know, when there's like things like this that just kind of disturb you. But Shaw really stayed in focus, and that was great. I thought, you know, to go to the next stage of his playing, having control is a great thing, but it often goes against exploring new ways to play technically. Because so control that it's blocked a little bit, locked in place, and it feels great. It feels very safe and secure, but we need to kind of change that a little bit to keep bettering, you know, in a technical sense. So I would suggest just to move around a little bit more and just to relax the hand a little bit in the right hand to kind of explore different sounds, different things. The right hand, especially the right hand, is the voice, you know, and different things that it can do. It can make different sounds, and that will really just make the technique bloom, you know, because you have to find new ways to do other things, and that can only improve whatever you're doing, you know, right now. So, yeah, but overall, beautiful playing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's encouraging people to sort of take that control of the whole of the length of the string. As much as possible. It's easy to be so concerned with our left hand. We're all sort of focused on it so much that this hand just becomes a bit static, and it's really important, like Thomas is saying, to get that moving, to find the different sounds, because actually Shaw has such a strong quality of tone. We could really hear that his fundamental sound is really, really strong. Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have been behind the scenes. Thomas and Roberto and Eugen have been giving their feedback on their scorecards, and we've been totaling up the scores as the evening has progressed. And we have a top three. We have a first, second, and third place, which is really, really, really very, very exciting, and just testament to such fantastic performances that we've had all evening. The level's been fantastic, Kate, hasn't it?
It has. It absolutely has. It has just been, again, it's been a wonderful evening of music. Just to sit and experience all of this. It played at such a good level that, again, it's not so much worrying about competition, but just really enjoying the performances that we've been seeing. And that says so much for these young performers, that they're so self-possessed and that they can do so much and make so much art. So congratulations to everyone. I do not envy the jury the tiniest bit having to rank any of these players. I'm so glad that I just get to sit here and say, yay, and be Kermit. That's fine. That's fine with me.
I know. It is. I mean, people have been saying that all night. It's a big job for the judges. It'd be nice just to hear from Roberto and Thomas and Eugen just a little bit about their thoughts of the whole performance before we go to the results, because the results are one thing, but they're not everything about a competition. And it's been the ethos and the atmosphere, not just today, but in the senior competition as well, that everybody's performances is celebrated, that so much good music making has been shared and presented. So Roberto, give us your thoughts. This is the second year of the junior competition. How's it going?
So I think it's going really well. What can I say about that? It's what a level and what a fantastic opportunity to be able to listen to all of them. I would say, first of all, take the comments that you get from the audience members like really seriously, because it's not about just winning prizes. It's not about just being number one. It's also about building your own audience and being able to draw people in. So I would also consider like how the people are reacting to what you're doing. I would also like to say that some of them I've seen it before, and what an improvement in their playing. I've seen Bronte before, I've seen Peregrine before, and honestly, the level has definitely risen. And overall, maybe the final thing is, I think what makes a big difference for me, it's that some of the performers that we've just seen today at such a young age, they feel like someone on stage, even just in front of a camera, they feel like a performer. I feel like if we would see them in a stage, it would make absolute sense. And I think for me, that's where the difference lies.
Excellent. And Eugen, as a player who has, I don't know if you're still competing in competitions. Obviously, you won last year's senior competition, and I'm sure your road through competitions has been some first places and some seconds and some thirds. And I'm sure, like all of us, when we do competitions or have done them in the past, they're a roller coaster. What's your advice to all the players about competing and the mindset?
Well, first of all, I have to say I had a wonderful evening listening to all those young players, and I think this is what those music competitions are all about in the first place, is to bring beautiful music to audiences, yeah, my only advice would be to keep on going. Just see this as a great opportunity to to present what you have been working on. And
Excellent.
Don't think about the results, just think about of course, it's easy to say not to think about the results. What am I talking about? But the first priority should be celebrating the music.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thomas, having been on the competition jury a couple of times now, it would be great to have just some of your thoughts.
Yeah, great. I mean, all amazing level, obviously here. It's really impressive to me to listen each year to young players that just sound better and better all the time. The level here was just through the roof. I think it's just comparable to professional level. Honestly, I mean, I don't really see a huge gap nowadays, age-wise, you know. So yeah, we keep having youth competitions because that's it's fair, you know. But
Yeah.
at the time, all of those very young players here could be competing with much older peers. Yeah, it's difficult. So to compete in music is not a very natural thing to do, but it's very well. There's no real way for us judges, you know, to get to it's not scientific, you know, to get to a result that's like, you know, this is the result. So there's always gonna be like a lot of emotional response
Yeah.
we get from, and it's normal because you know this is music. As my colleagues here have said, you know, that the most important thing is to touch the audience and touch us, So I think whatever the results are, whenever you're competing, your goal should be to really just try to do the best you can and to really touch your audience, make an impression, and do what express what you were trying to express. At least it's difficult, and we're not always happy with what we're doing, so it can be frustrating. But that's what we should be trying to do. After that, it's really a coin toss. I would say it's the job of the jury to decide, and whatever happens. Yes, as you said, we've all competed and we've all got, like all kinds of different results. So, we're the same players. It doesn't mean that, if you're a great player, you're gonna get first prize all the time, and so whatever, if you don't make it, or you don't place, or you're third or something like this, it doesn't mean really anything. It just, on that particular day or night, that's what happened. But
Yeah. It's so important for young players to have heard this feedback from all three of you there. I'm thanking you all, and as is Kate, and as are all of our performers, our participants in the competition, and their mums and dads and grandparents, everybody that's probably watching as well, and cheering them on. The feedback is so crucial. The feedback that you've had, just verbally live on the show, and of course, Eugen, Roberto, and Thomas have all been writing some feedback in there as well, and that'll be sent to you after, so you can read that maybe through with your teacher, rewatch the performance, and think about the things to improve for the future. But now, it's not unfair to keep people waiting any longer, So we have a top three for the players in third, second, and first place after their wonderful performances. So I will just go ahead and get us started, Kate, if that's okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Drum roll, but there's no drums. It's a guitar competition. Well, that's quite nice. I quite like that. It's almost as loud as the guy next door in Shaw's video. This is it. Recording videos in music schools, and people are all playing and practicing and stuff. Well, in third place, with an absolutely fantastic performance, was Andrei Orasanu. What a performance from Andrei. It was absolutely excellent.
Congratulations, Andrei.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Really, really, really excellent. Over to you for second, Kate.
Okay, second place, another fantastic performance. This one from Johan Thor. Congratulations. So beautifully felt, that early music. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. And in first place, our performer taking home the first prize and joining us at the Classical Guitar Retreat in July this summer is Preston Hong. Well done, Preston.
Congratulations, Preston.
Bravo.
Yes, well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. It was just a fantastic celebration of music and young talent. We can see the chat coming in as well. It's heartening to know that guitar music making is alive, well, and in good hands. What a comment from one of our audience members there, and I couldn't agree more. I think that is absolutely what we have witnessed in this competition, and lots of applause coming in, and just lots of support from you out there for the whole roster of performers and competitors. So nothing more to do but to thank everybody that performed and competed. You all played absolutely beautifully. To thank the judges with us, Roberto Versluys, Thomas Viloteau, and Eugen Treichel. All three of these judges will be at the Classical Guitar Retreat performing and teaching this summer. And of course, couldn't be a show on Galleria Guitar like this without the wonderful Kate Botello as co-host. Thank you again, Kate, for your insights and presenting all these young guitarists with such warmth and enthusiasm. They really appreciate it, and I appreciate it too. It's great to have you on Galleria Guitar.
Thank you. And thank you for creating this competition, Matthew,
Yes,
and
thank
doing
you,
it with
Matthew.
such heart and with such wonderful intention. So thank you too.
That's right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matthew, for putting this on and your energy in doing this and making the guitar world a better place.
That's the plan. That's the plan. It's time for a song. No. Anyway, okay. Well, listen, it has been an absolute blast. Hope to see many of you in July. Congratulations again to everybody, and we will see you all very soon. Bye for now, folks.